Hello there, and welcome to the I Never Knew podcast, also known as Inc. This show dives into the life experiences of people who have been through it all and have come through the other side stronger, better, and triumphant. Each story is raw, authentic, and, at times, heartbreaking. One thing joins it all together: the fact that the stories can help the listener learn and grow. Hosted by life coach Maureen, she sits down each episode with a new guest who will empower the listener to set out on their self-discovery journey and start to heal. Now you'll be joined by Maureen and her special guest. Please enjoy the show.
What's up, lady? Yes, thank you for having me. This is awesome. Nope. Yes. It's so funny hearing you talk about this, because I just the other day did a podcast with a young woman named Li Ying, and her story was a story of anorexia. And I dealt with an eating disorder for a very short amount of time while I was in a abusive relationship. And while she's talking about this, I haven't thought about this in so long. And while she's talking about, things that have been said and the dynamic of her family and such, I found myself getting super triggered over this topic of eating disorders to the point of getting emotional. And after she was done, after she was done, I kind of shared a little bit of my story. I'm getting super emotional. And I'm like, this is so crazy, because I can share in depth stories of some of the crap that I've been through, which your story is very similar to mine, and no longer get triggered. Like emotion will come up, but nothing like crazy. But for some reason, this eating thing totally hit a chord with me. It was so insane. But it just goes to show, for your listeners out there who are, hanging in on this episode here, that we're always constantly evolving and learning. So, as I'm talking, as Maureen's sharing, we're both sharing our story. No matter where you're at, it's always good to reflect and realize that even though, we're sharing our story, as to what it was, what it felt like, what it looked like, and we're able to now speak and, share and be open about it. We weren't always like this, number one. And number two, there's still stuff. There's still stuff. It's crazy that, you hit a point, you're like, good, I'm good. Like, I'm doing good. And then sometimes not so good. Yes. Yep. 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 100%. And that's actually one of the issues that I deal with, is now being able to share my story and the guilt or the emotion I feel towards why am I able to share it and not have emotion, is now where I'm at right now. Where now I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, oh my gosh, am I void of emotion? There's like, it's just constant. It's like we're just constantly questioning ourselves. It's insane. But these are the levels. And this is why, I love, women like you who are creating platforms where we can share this stuff, because without knowing that like how do I know I'm normal unless somebody else is sharing their story that's similar to mine? So it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. But a little bit about me. So I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, which most people know what that is. It's very strict religion. And everything was fine until I mysteriously ended up pregnant with no husband at the age of 20. I'm not sure how that happened, but ended up pregnant. And although I can laugh about it now, it was one of the most devastating circumstances, challenges that I've ever been through in my life. Within literally a few days, I went from a loving family and a community of people that were surrounding me to zero. You know, as a Jehovah's Witness, we are told to not associate outside the religion. So everybody you know is within the confines of the Jehovah's Witness organization. So when they cast you out or disassociate you, you are literally left by yourself. And so I had a little apartment. I'm pregnant. I'm living with baby daddy. Had my child. Again, no communication whatsoever with anybody. About 3 to 4 months into my son being born, my boyfriend and I were attending the church, you know, the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses, because I'm trying to get back. I'm trying to get back with God. I'm trying to get back with my community, back with my family, and make myself right with God and not be a horrible, dirty sinner. And I get pulled into the back room, and what's called a body of elders, like 3 men basically, pull you into a room to like discuss things that you're a sinner about. And they told me that I needed to either marry baby daddy or leave baby daddy. I couldn't just be playing house. So I needed to like definitively make a decision, because God was unhappy with me. And I was also confusing the congregation, confusing the brothers and sisters in the congregation, and they didn't appreciate my lifestyle. So me just being so desperate to try to like make my life right and get back with God and get my relationship back with my mom. You know, I'm like, I have a baby. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no outside friends. Like, I just want to get back to where things were. I made a very stupid decision, a completely naive decision. I sat down with my son's father and I said, we need to break up, without even thinking of what that would mean for me. And it was a whole thing over probably about a 7-day period of him saying it was stupid and me being like, this is what I have to do and whatever. He left. And when he left, he literally left the state and gave me 0 child support. So now I am a single mom on minimum wage, dealing with postpartum, dealing with suicidal thoughts, dealing with being a sinner and dirty and gross, and everything that goes along with the stereotype of being a single mom, basically. And no money. So eviction notices on my apartment door, car getting repoed out of the parking lot, just a mess, like an absolute mess on every angle you could possibly look at it. About a year in, I just in a complete state of just unworthiness. I met a man who I thought to me was given to me by God. He had money. He had red flags stapled all over his body, but me just being so desperate for any sort of attention from anybody, I ignored all of those red flags. And I jumped into a relationship with this guy, and it was probably one of the worst decisions I've ever made. And one of the best decisions I've ever made, which is crazy.